I'm going to read Philippians chapter 1, verses 27 onwards. It says, whatever happens, conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ. Then, whether I come and see you or only hear about you in my absence, I will know that you stand firm in the one Spirit, striving together as one for the faith of the gospel, without being frightened in any way by those who oppose you. This is a sign to them that they will be destroyed, but that you will be saved, and that by God. For it has been granted to you on behalf of Christ, not only to believe in him, but also to suffer for him, since you are going through the same struggle as you saw I had, and now hear that I still have. He says, whatever happens. But the word whatever happens in other translations says, only this. Only this. In the Greek, it goes away, only this and the only thing. Wow. Only this and this only thing. Only thing, Now, when teachers tell you, only this, you better write it down, only this one. You know why? It is going to come out in the exam. Only this. So he says, only this, or only one thing, and this only. He said, conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ. Now, that's interesting. I think when we stand before God on Judgment Day, one of the ways he's going to judge us is whether we have conducted our lives, and the reference point is the gospel of Christ. Did we live a life worthy of the gospel of Christ? Wow, that's very, very powerful. And number 2, it says, stand firm in one spirit. Then striving together as one. So one spirit as one for the faith of the gospel, without being frightened. And then goes on to say, for it has been granted to you on behalf of Christ, not only to believe in him, but also to suffer for him. What does the meaning to live a life worthy of the gospel of Christ? Now, there are 2 ways to read it. If you just read that verse alone, just by itself, it has got a broad meaning. Simply said, live as a Christian life. Live a life that is godly, righteous, just, merciful. Do everything right according to the gospel, according to Christ. That's a broad meaning. You can draw a very broad meaning. But if you look at in this context, Paul actually tells us what does it mean to live a life worthy of the gospel of Christ. So there is a narrow definition. Now, those of us who know, any definition has got a broad definition and a narrow definition. The narrow definition is usually given by the context. The context is, as citizens of heaven, live to be an effective witness. That's basically what it is. Wow, that's very interesting. Because whenever we say, live a life worthy of the gospel or worthy of Christ, we always say, be good, be holy, be godly. We all use this. But nobody tells us, hey, you have to be an effective witness. And that's what Paul is saying. He says, as citizens of heaven, be or live so that you'll be an effective witness. So what it means is this, 3 things he says. Number 1, what does it mean to live worthy of the gospel? He said, number 1, stand united in the gospel. Number 2, he says, strive together for the gospel. Number 3, he says, spread the gospel. Now, this is very, very interesting. Now, that is how his definition is within this context. He's writing to the Philippians, and Paul was actually in prison. And why is he in prison? Not because he stole anything, not that he murdered anybody. No, he was preaching the gospel. And so he was in prison. By the way, he's writing to the Philippian church. How was the Philippian church founded? It is also through suffering and persecution. You remember the story in Acts 16, when Paul and Silas were thrown into jail, and they were singing in midnight, and there was an earthquake. And then the jailer came and he said, what shall I do to get saved? He said, believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and you'll be saved, and your whole household. And that is the beginning of the Philippian church with the jailer and Lydia. So here he says that you should be united in the gospel, work for the gospel, strive together for the gospel, and also suffer for the gospel. Suffering is part of the Christian life. No, suffering means you are facing opposition. Suffering means you face difficulty. Suffering means you face obstacles. Suffering means you face resistance. Now, is there anyone here who has never faced resistance, opposition, obstacles? Can I see your hands, please? No one, huh? That means suffering is part of our lives. Isn't it? It's part of our lives. Only thing we don't talk about it. But suffering is part of our lives. If you look last year and just say, what is it that you suffered? Yeah, you had some sufferings. Right, so suffering is part of our lives. That is not, some people, there's a big study on it, they call it theodicy. And so there is unity and there is witness. Huh? There is unity and witness. Stand together, strive together, so that you'll be a witness. Even if it means suffer together. Now, James as steward, he said this, the concern for oneness and the concern for witness stand and fall together. So when we talk about unity, there is always a purpose for why we need to be united. Not unity for unity's sake. While it is good, but it's not sustainable, but has to be a purpose. The purpose is for witness. Purpose for witness. Jesus has a high priestly prayer, and he actually prays this. Verse 21 of John 17. It says that all of them may be one, Father, just as you are in me and I'm in you, unity. May they also be in us, unity, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. Now, if you are united as a community here, the neighborhood, your friends and people, they know that Jesus is in your midst, that God has sent Jesus among your midst. But if we are fighting with each other, if there are divisions, if there has been strife, we lose witness. And then in verse 23, I in them and you in me, unity, so that they may be brought to complete unity, then the world will know that you sent me and have loved them even as you have loved me. Wow. So unity and witness stand and fall together. We remain united for the purpose of witness. So, shall we summarize it? What does it mean? We are in a hostile world because Paul was writing to the Philippians who was facing opposition. And he said, stand united, work together for the cause of the gospel. If we should suffer for it, so be it. It only shows that we are true witnesses of Christ. Wow. If you suffer for your faith, it only shows that you are true witnesses of Christ. How? Because even through suffering, you still believed Christ and you still continued the work of Christ. And that sometimes God allows suffering pain in our lives, not to destroy us, but to strengthen us. Only 3 points. So only 3 words. You stand, you strive, you suffer. Okay? You stand together as a witness, you strive together to witness, and you suffer together as a witness. I want to say something here. When we want to do something together as a group, we can do it. If you want to do it alone, it's very difficult. When you walk together, when you stand together, it is easy to be a witness. When you strive together, meaning work together, the word strive here is like athletes working together. When you do it together, you can do it.